Hi, I'm Heidi. I'm here to explain the upper and lower motor neurons and alpha and gamma motor neurons. So I will start with the upper motor neurons, which are in the cerebral cortex, and they travel down to the spinal cord, and they're going to eventually give messages to the lower motor neurons, and they are responsible for voluntary movements. They can result, if there's damage there, it can result in spasticity, like spastic dysarthria, muscle weakness, loss of skilled movements, and then upper motor neuron dysarthria. And then that also travels down to the basal ganglia, which is like right at the bottom near the brain stem. And if there's damage there, then you're going to get hyper or hypokinetic dysarthria, or if there's damage to the cerebellum, then there could be cause ataxic dysarthria if there's damage there. So I kind of like to think of the upper and lower motor neurons a little bit like going into a restaurant. So the lower motor neurons are above or below the upper, and they're kind of like the chef. So the upper motor neurons are the waitress. So you voluntarily gone into a restaurant, you want some dinner, you've just told the waitress, the upper motor neurons, they're the ones that are like, yes, we want to do this, we're going to send a message down to that chef. The lower motor neurons, hey, we need something. So that's what's happening. It's traveling down. The lower motor neurons are in that brainstem at the spinal cord. It's in the final common pathway where, like, that's everything. It has to get to that point. If there's damage in that part, it's not going to get out to the rest of your body. So they are getting those signals, basically the upper motor neurons or the waitress. So they're the ones that control muscle contraction, and they're the ones that really help send the message to perform the movements. If there's damage here, so you could have partial damage there, and then part of the messages could get sent out, or you could have complete damage, and then no message is going to get out. So if that waitress, spills something on the ticket, and maybe just part of it, so part of the message got wiped out, then the chef might be like, oh yeah, I think that says chicken. Or is that chocolate? So you might get chocolate instead of chicken. But maybe the green beans show, so you're going to get your green beans. And the dessert, well, I don't know, is that ice cream or is that an iced drink? So that message might get mixed up. So that could be related to speech. Like your body may not get all the message. Like you can't, the muscles aren't getting the message to contract correctly to make certain sounds or to be able to swallow. So that's that. So that's kind of how I like to think of it, is just how the messages travel as the waitress. And then you've got the alpha and gamma motor neurons. Both of those types of neurons are located in the final common pathway. So if something happens here and there's partial damage, again, then that message from the neurons are not going to get sent. If it's complete damage, then you won't get any messages. You could end up with paralysis. But again, you could get part of the message sent. So you could get part of your dinner or none of your dinner. So the alpha motor neurons are located in the brainstem or the anterior horn of the spinal cord, but we really care more about the brainstem for speech because that's where we've got the cranial nerves, 5, 7, 9, 10, and 12. Those are the most important ones. Those are where those messages are getting sent. The alpha neurons are ones that move quicker, and they are larger than the gamma neurons, and they transfer information quicker. They have temporal and also summation neurons. So the temporal ones are more about time. So if you need to go quicker, like, hey, I need my drink, and that waitress has to run, then you're going quicker. Or you know what, maybe a tray dropped, and so you're going to need that summation. You're going to need more muscle fibers to help, collect and do that. Or in speech, I would think of more like, coughing. You need more of those muscle fibers to cough. But maybe you're trying to get through a video in less than 7 minutes, and so you're like, we better move faster, hurry up. So those would be those alpha motor neurons would come into place there. So that's their function, is to tell all the muscles in the face and throat and neck and all that what to do. And then if there's damage again, you can end up with dysarthria or just other kinds of problems, like dysphagia too would be one of them. But yeah, you're going to have you can end up spastic dysarthria as well. And then you've got those gamma motor neurons, which they are smaller and they're slower conducting than the alpha ones. They're also in the final common pathway, but they help set the muscle tone and they provide the stability of foundation. So that'd be like the waitress, I don't know, probably typing on her computer or something. I guess we have to use paper because I don't know how else it's going to get lost. But, just say she had to write, then that would be setting that tone, just getting us like a strong foundation. And then it's also, of course, if we think about it with speech too, it's preparing muscles needed for speech and like swallowing functions. So if you end up with damage here, then you're going to have, you could have muscle weakness, spastic dysarthria, upper motor neuron dysarthria. It really affects everything that needs to be carried out. So if again, if we go back to our waiter example, if that, there's any damage to that portion, then all the message may not get sent. You may not get all your dinner, or part of the dinner might be incorrect. Same thing, your for speech and swallowing, you may have misarticulations. You may be slower in speech because the messages aren't getting there. You may have problems coughing and swallowing, which I guess those two are related. But yeah, so I think that covers the differences. Gamma and alpha are both in final common pathway, but those gamma ones are just slower and what else? They were slower and smaller in conducting. But yeah, that's it. Okay. I hope that explains it. Thank you.